Hey guys, Chris from Provo Beast Audio Installation, and in today's video we're installing a backup camera in this 2009 Pontiac Vibe. Now in this install we're going to show you how to integrate this backup camera to an existing aftermarket radio. Let's get started. Here at the bench, the parts that we're going with for our install, first and foremost, is the camera that the customer has chosen to have us install. It's actually a part of a doubled in kit, which we can link in the description. We used the doubled in the previous video where we mounted that up, and this came with actually a free backup camera, which we'll be installing as well. Now we can go ahead and include our recommended backup cameras that are standalone in the description of the vehicle, as well as this kit in case you want to pick one up yourself. Now this kit comes with the camera, your wiring, and we notice on our vehicle that we have a license plate light right center in the bumper area where generally this would mount at. Because we can't mount right to the light, we're going to use a bracket adapter, which will convert the standard universal mount to a license plate stud mount, making this a lot nicer of an install versus just putting it off center. It keeps the camera right in the center of the vehicle, which will aid you in parking. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get our camera mounted up into our bracket here and start preparing our wiring. So we got our camera mounted on our bracket adapter, so makes it a lot nicer to mount. So like I said, this end is going to plug into our main harness here. Now this main harness has this red and black wire that heads off. Because our camera has LEDs, we don't want to hook it up to accessory power, or else those LEDs are going to be on all the time. So we only want to power the camera in reverse. So simply, we're just going to hook this power and ground up to the power and ground of the reverse light. So we'll show you how we're going to tap into the reverse light to connect these two wires to those two wires. Then the other end, when we run this all the way forward, this is going to be a trigger wire because this red wire happens to run in parallel with our positive of our power to our camera, and that's going to also act as our reverse gear trigger wire. So essentially here, this will connect to our radio's reverse gear trigger wire. Pioneers happen to be purple white, same with a lot of different brands. Our no-name brand happens to be pink, so we're going to just make that connection at the radio. This will plug into the reverse camera input, so we don't really have to do a ton of prep on the bench here today. Let's head to the car, pull off the plate, start running this through the bumper into the cabin of the car. Alright, so we've gotten started here. We got just one side just to hold our camera up. Now we pop this license plate light out to give us access to run our wire. There is a little space for a flathead. Unclip it and it swings down, and that gave us the access, as you saw, us to run our wire through. We got a little file, put a little notch there so it doesn't get pinched. And with this all pulled apart, pulled off this top, pulled out the spare tire that we found our factory grommet here, pulled that through, we poked a little hole through and ran our wire through that. So now we can seat that back up there, just like so. So it seals up and around our new wire. And then this end is our plug. So this plugs into the main harness that runs to the reverse light and our signal all the way up to the radio. Alright, so we got our camera all up. We just need to put the plate back on. Got everything zip tied all the way down here. Now we fished our red and black wire up into this cavity, and here is our reverse light. Now you can actually just pop it out for service to replace the bulb, and it's going to give us enough length. Red's going to be our positive, white's going to be our negative. So we're going to hook in our red and our black into those wires. Now you can use some T-taps here. We're going to just strip the wire back and solder in. As for our black wire, which is our video wire that goes forward, tucked it up underneath, and we fished it up underneath that panel onto the other side, as you saw us do that. So with all this out of the way and zip tied nice and clean, we need to tap into that, but we can actually reassemble everything back here. We're done back here, so we're going to take some time, put everything back as we found it. Once we finish our connection here, we need to continue running our video wire that has the built-in trigger all the way forward to work our way towards the dash cavity. Alright, so we got the back all put back together here. Now looking here inside, we went ahead and soldered on power and ground. Again, if you don't want to do this, you can certainly use T-taps. Now at this point what we need to do is get some electrical tape. We're going to insulate those connections and relume the harness and put the light back in. Then we can pack this, put everything back in, and put the panel back on there. And at this point we need to turn our attention now to that video wire, so we can start running along kick panels all the way to the dash cavity. Alright, with that panel off, we just continue running our wire forward here, just tucking it underneath the B pillar. Again, this just pops off, held on with clips. Moved it all the way forward. We went up here, fished it through there with a hanger, and we pulled it up into the dash cavity. So we fished our backup camera wire through up into the dash. Now obviously the dash is not assembled. We've already taken this all apart, and we covered that in great detail in our first video where we prepare and install an aftermarket double din. Now if you want to see how to disassemble the dash, check that video on out. We'll have a link down in the description as well as a card up above. So with the radio on out and our wire now fished through the dash, what we need to do is connect our red wire, or our trigger wire here, to the trigger wire of the radio, which happens to be pink, and we lift it out of our harness, and this will go to the video wire or the camera input on the back of the radio. So let's grab our harness adapter here, which we prepared in the other video. We lift our pink guy on out. Pink in this case happens to be the reverse gear trigger wire for this specific radio. Crimp cap on there. Go ahead and crimp it down. Perfect. So we have made that connection here, and again this goes to the reverse camera input on the back of the radio. So let's go ahead and get the radio back in the dash. So let's go ahead and make our connections here. And let's go ahead and get a bolt in just so it's held in place. We do want to test things to make sure everything's working before we fully button it up. Okay, with the radio in, now what we did, see our passenger airbag light here, we actually took it out of the dash bezel so we could plug it back in so we don't trip the light on the dash, so we can safely turn on the key. Okay, everything seems to be working great. Backup camera is working good. Let's go for final assembly here. All right, so that's about it for this backup camera install. If we go ahead and throw it in reverse, everything's working great there. Pull it out of reverse. Perfect. If you have any questions on what we did here, go ahead and post a comment below. Additionally, if you want to see how we did this radio install, like mentioned before, we'll link that video in the description, which walks you through step by step. We're going to link all the parts that we used and more that are recommended down in the description of the video for your convenience. And if you like what you saw, be sure to hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe. We post great content on the channel all the time, and we'll see you in the next video.